Welcome to No Broken Legs. I am Evan Belfiore. Joining me on the phone on this Tuesday afternoon is Jimmy Champ. Jimmy, how are you?
Man, I'm feeling pretty good. The Browns had about everything go right for them that could go right for them during the bye week to keep their division and playoff hopes alive. So I'm feeling pretty good. Get ready to talk about these AFC playoffs.
Yeah, and we'll just start last night with the Patriots beating Buffalo, and they attempted 3 passes all night. It was really windy, and we were talking before we started recording. You said that is just a quintessential Bill Belichick win, and I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I would love to see the Browns deploy that game plan at some point, right? Like, just run the ball, 45 times a game and just keep doing it and keep doing it. I was surprised, Buffalo has been a tough team most of the year. They've been a physical team. And I was surprised to see New England's offensive line just bully them, much like they did against the Browns. That offensive line for the Patriots is really coming together. They've got 2 really solid running backs. Man, New England's rounding into form. They might look like one of the best teams in the AFC. And Buffalo just keeps kind of sliding a little bit with a big game with the Buccaneers coming up.
I don't know how anybody in Buffalo can feel good about the Josh Allen contract, seeing what they've seen this year. And considering how much time national media spends talking about Baker Mayfield and his potential contract, 2 other guys that they should be talking about are Josh Allen, who has already gotten his massive contract, and Lamar Jackson, who has just fallen off a cliff the last month.
Yep.
So let's just... go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like you keep talking about it, there are a lot of quarterbacks that should be sending Baker some nice shit for Christmas for keeping the media dogs off of them. But yeah, I mean, Josh Allen, not that there was much he could have done really last night, I guess, but he has not looked like a guy deserving of the contract he got. And he could not lead his team last night. They were not able to get it done.
No, they weren't. And with that win, the Patriots are now the 1 seed in the AFC. They are a half game ahead of the other division leaders. Tennessee, Baltimore, and Kansas City are all sitting at 8-4. Out of those 4 teams, the only ones I really have any faith in are the Patriots and the Chiefs right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the Titans, it's not really their fault. The injuries, the key pieces have attacked them later in the season. I imagine the Colts probably end up winning that division. They both have about similar schedules left to play. But yeah, I have no faith in the Ravens. I have no faith in the Titans. And the Patriots and the Chiefs probably look like the 2 best teams in the AFC.
So looking at after the division winners, in the 5th, 6th, and 7th places for the playoff spots are the Los Angeles Chargers, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Buffalo Bills. They are all 7-5. Right behind them on the bubble at number 8 are the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 6-5-1. The Indianapolis Colts are 9th at 7-6. And then you have the Raiders, the Browns, and the Broncos are all 6-6. And then I guess if you want to count the Dolphins, they're 6-7. I don't think the Dolphins are going to wind up making the playoffs. They've been on a nice little run recently, but I just don't think they're going to be able to come through. But looking at their next 3 games, they have the Jets next week, which is probably a win. Then they have the Saints, who, if they're still playing Taysom Hill, that's probably a win. And then they get the beat-up Titans, and who knows what happens in that game. So the schedule isn't doing the Browns any favors, and it's doing some other teams some favors. But Cleveland gets to play 4 of the teams that are ahead of them. They have a game against the Raiders. You win that one, you pretty much loser of the Browns-Raiders game is pretty much out of the playoffs, I would assume, at this point.
Yes.
And then you have games against the Steelers, the Bengals, and the Ravens. And despite absolutely shitting away a game they should have won, they're still in it for the division.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. Like, I agree with you. The Dolphins' schedule looks real nice, but I'm not going to trust them. But of the 3 teams right ahead of Cleveland for the wild card spot, as long as Deebo Samuel gets back healthy, the Bengals will lose this week. The Chargers, I think they'll get a win. I think they have the Giants.
They have the Giants, the Chiefs, and the Texans in the next 3 weeks, so they're probably notching 2 wins.
And I think Buffalo is going to lose to Tampa, so that knocks them down a game. I think the Steelers will probably lose to the Vikings as well because it's very Viking-esque to lose to the Lions and then beat the Steelers the next week.
And that's very in character for the Steelers to drop a game against a team that just lost to a winless team.
Exactly. So here's the thing. I think, as Browns fans, we've spent time, we've attacked Kevin Stefanski, we've attacked Baker Mayfield, we've attacked Odell Beckham, we've attacked Joe Woods, we've attacked the new free agent safeties. We've basically attacked everybody not named Nicholas Chubb on the Browns.
The running backs have been great this year. I wish we'd see more of them in the play calling.
I agree. But the thing is, for the most part, because of what they have left and what the other teams have left on their schedules, the Browns kind of control their destiny, right?
I agree with that.
If the Browns happen to beat the Ravens, which I'm just going to tell you now, I know we're not there on Thursday yet. I'll be picking the Browns to beat the Ravens. And then the Ravens have the Packers, Bengals, and Rams the next 3 games after that. The Ravens have it tough. The Bengals got the 49ers. I think they beat the Broncos. They'll probably beat the Ravens. But then they have the Chiefs and then the Browns again. I think the Browns control their destiny coming out of the bye, and there's not much more you can ask for. Everybody's got to be healthy. Everybody's got to execute on offense, and the defense has to keep playing like they were playing. But it's right there. So it's going to be interesting to see, is this the new Browns? Is this the Kevin Stefanski era? Is it different? Are they able to come out, have a game plan, execute on offense and defense and special teams, and right the ship for the season? And they can still get a wild card and or win the division. Both are very available right now because of everything that happened this week. You didn't have a tiebreaker against the Chiefs. You didn't have a tiebreaker against the Patriots. But both of them are going to win their division, so you don't have to worry about that. The Chargers might be the only one you're really going to have to worry about. If it comes down to conference record, that's going to hurt them a little bit because most of their losses have been against the AFC. But for the most part, the Browns have a very, if the only game they lose the rest of the way is the Packers game, they will make the playoff. It would be really hard to see a picture where if that's the only game they lose the rest of the way, they don't make the playoffs. So here you go, Kevin Stefanski. Here you go, Baker Mayfield. Here you go, Joe Woods. Here you go, Myles Garrett. Here it is, right? You're coming out of the bye. You should be healthy, at least healthier than you've been for the last month and a half. Here's your opportunity to go take what you want. Will we see it? I think we will. A lot of people don't think we will, but I think we will. I think this week just went perfectly for Cleveland. The Raiders taking that loss was huge. The Bengals and the Ravens losing was huge. I'm excited for the football games coming up this weekend, bro.
What really stood out to me yesterday while I was watching the games was how Pittsburgh attacked Baltimore.
Yep.
And they weren't super successful running the ball. Najee Harris had 21 carries for 71 yards. That's not even a 3.5 carry. It's right under that. But they still ran the ball, and you saw how that affected the Baltimore defense as the game went on. And I just really, really hope that Kevin Stefanski was watching that and realized, hey, maybe I shouldn't come out throwing the ball 50 fucking times. Just maybe. I know Humphreys is out, and I know he was in on a lot of plays in the passing game for the Browns 2 weeks ago. Yep. But the Browns, what I want to see the Browns do these last 5 games is I want them to stop doing this. Well, what are our opponents going to do? And then game planning off of that. What I want them to do is put together a game plan that says this is what we do, this is how we attack, and now we're going to try that first, and then we'll start going into our, well, what are they game planning for? How do we think they'll game plan for us? Because that's how they got to go out and win. Because they're not going to do it throwing the ball 21 times and rushing it only 8 in the first half of a close game. That is not how this team is built to win. That's not at all what the ethos of this team should be.
I agree. We talked about it. Like I said, for our listeners that may take some betting advice from us, I hope you bet some dogs and some money lines because I was spot on with a lot of games. I just thought Pittsburgh would try to do exactly what Cleveland did defensively, and they did. T.J. Watt was outstanding. Myles Garrett has to be outstanding again. But I agree with you. Now, I have not looked at the injury report. I do not know if DPJ and Schwartz will both be healthy for this next game. But what I would like to see when the Browns have the ball the first time, I don't care if it goes 3 and out. Nick Chubb gets the ball 3 times in a row. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if you stuff him on first down and second down. If it's 3rd and 10, give him the fucking ball again. I think if you give him the ball 3 or 4 times in a row, you'll get a first down or 2. And then I want to see the shot play on whoever's coming in for Humphrey to DPJ or Schwartz. Don't make it complicated. Don't make it confusing. Go max protect. Both of them run a freaking go around. If it's not there, Baker dump it off somewhere. But like I said, I have stayed steadfast in my belief of Kevin Stefanski. We've talked about it. Injured Baker Mayfield isn't great, but healthy Baker Mayfield is pretty damn good. I'm hoping he's leaning more towards the healthy side. I'm hoping with the week off, Mr. Stefanski was able to get himself together. Hopefully Joe Woods can stay on the hot streak he's been on, and they go out and they beat Baltimore and start this stretch run really well.
Yeah, beating Baltimore next week is, that's the first thing that needs to happen. Seeing the Bills play the Buccaneers, the Bills dropped that game. They're sitting at 7-6. They're tied with the Browns.
Yep.
Which is kind of an insane thing to think about. And if the 49ers take care of business against the Bengals, like I'm sure I think they will, and I think you do as well.
Yep.
That now you're looking at the Browns, the Bills, the Bengals, all at 7-6. The Broncos are playing the Lions, so they probably win there, and they go up 7-6. Luckily, the Browns have a tiebreaker against the Broncos.
Exactly.
And the Chargers still have to play the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Broncos.
Yep.
So I'm not sure how that's all going to shake out, but really it just gets down to the Browns got to win this week. And really, if they just win their division games, that gets them to 4-2 in the division for the season. That gets them to at least 9 wins. That guarantees a winning record. And those are the things we want to see the Cleveland Browns do moving forward. So I'm trying to look up the injury report for the Browns right now, and they haven't updated it over the bye week, so it's still at week 12. So that will probably come up when they'll update that at least tomorrow, if not today.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if they're back to practice today.
We should have a little look at that before we pick games Thursday.
Yeah, and it would be great to get DPJ back because they need him healthy, and they need him able to stretch the field, if only for one or two throws a game. And we also need to know how Harrison Bryant's going to look. They really need him for those 3 tight end sets that have really done a lot. They've done a lot with those 3 tight end sets.
Yeah.
They run, they throw.
Yeah.
And we said last week that throw to Harrison Bryant going towards the sideline just seems to be there whenever they want it.
Yep. Yeah, I completely agree. They've been very successful out of that set. Hopefully all 3 will be healthy. It'll be there. Maybe Austin Hooper can catch some passes if thrown to him. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's just, man, Baltimore is beat up. Fortunately for Lamar, everybody just wants to shit on Baker Mayfield, so nobody's really shitting on him. Because there's no doubt on that last play of that Ravens game, if that was Baker Mayfield to Austin Hooper, nobody would be blaming Austin Hooper. I'll tell you that fucking much.
Oh, I didn't hear anybody really blaming Mark Andrews, nor should they. That was just a bad throw. He's got to put a little loft on it. And we've seen Baker do that this year, where he's had easy touchdown throws that he's put too much oomph on and hasn't let it air out and let his guy go catch it. And he's been murdered for missing those throws, and everybody seems to have already forgotten Lamar Jackson did that and has thrown just a ton of interceptions the last month.
I mean, Lamar Jackson is good enough that you give him easy throws early in the game Sunday, he might be able to right what's wrong with him. It's very possible. But I think if you come out and you get to him early and you keep the pressure on him and you make it, 9 straight quarters of hell that he's played at quarterback, I think he might just fold. I think the Ravens are.
Do you think teams have figured out how to attack Baltimore now? Because it sure looks like it.
I was ever. I mean, the Chargers showed you how to beat them in the playoff game.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And that was, 2-3 years ago now?
That was 2 years ago, and teams want to underestimate Lamar Jackson. But
is it something, we were talking basketball with our friend Brandon, and I mentioned that Golden State gets a lot of run because they beat up a lot of teams that just can't match up with them. Is that sort of what happens with Baltimore, where there's teams that just don't have the personnel to stop what they want to do on the ground game and with Lamar's legs, and it just makes them look so much better because they kill bad teams, or usually killed bad teams. But this year they've been playing a lot of close games.
They do, but I think a big part of that is bad teams have bad coaching, and I think a lot of teams undervalue their nickel and dime cornerbacks and safeties, and can't imagine putting them on the field on first and second down. Like that.
Yeah,
that's
a good
how I
point.
feel. I just feel that's what it is. That, bad teams tend to be coached by bad coaches who are stuck in a certain way. And I have to have base 3-4 to start the game, and then Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson eat your ass up. But I will say, I hate to make any excuses for Baltimore. Their offense, in my opinion, would still look completely different if J.K. Dobbins was healthy.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair point. But he hasn't been in all year. He got hurt early in the season. Another question that follows up on that's a little bit more general. Does it look to you like NFL defenses have made adjustments in terms of the rollout plays for the Browns haven't been as successful this year? It seems that D end is always waiting for the rollout instead of chasing the running back. I have seen that a lot in all of the games that I've watched over the last 3 weeks. Defenses just aren't letting teams get away with that anymore. And it looks like they've cut down on the big chunk plays. That's something that I heard mentioned quite a bit, is that defenses seem to have made some big adjustments off of the last couple of years, and that's why they seem to be playing a lot better in terms of defense versus offense.
Yeah, I completely agree. It takes very exceptional personnel right now to still be able to get the chunk plays, and defenses are finally coaching those rollouts properly. You've got guys in the middle of the defense to stop it if it's a run play. Don't stand there flat-footed. Don't look at the running back. Go get the quarterback. If he doesn't have the ball, try to pull up and not hit him. That's how it should be coached, and that's what defenses are doing. But I also don't think Cleveland tries to sell it enough. I do feel that way.
It doesn't help when they're so pass happy that defenses don't necessarily have to respect the fact that they're going to give the ball to the best player.
Exactly, and I think that's something they've got to get back to running the ball more, and Baker's got to get more emphatic with the play actions. And because I still believe that play action boot to Harrison Bryant, I think, is one of the best plays the team has. Even to Njoku, he's been pretty good this year on him as well. But if you're not establishing the run, why the hell would I worry about a play action pass? So
yeah, and you saw that.
I agree with you.
They had a couple nice Pittsburgh had a couple of nice plays against Baltimore when they ran play action. And that only works. And let's not kid ourselves. Roethlisberger doesn't even really pretend to do play action. He sort of motions with his hands towards the running back, but it's not even a good play action. But Baltimore still had to respect it because they were running the ball, and it was part of their consistent offensive play calling.
Something Pittsburgh did in that fourth quarter that I would love to see Cleveland do more of is play action and then throw it to Najee Harris off the play action. The Browns need to do more of that, just trying to get Chubb and Hunt in space, giving them a little bit more open room to operate, because Baltimore made it perfectly clear they were not going to give Nick Chubb any room up the middle to operate, and we didn't take advantage of the spacing that was there. So Kevin Stefanski has a lot to work on, but I trust him. His offenses have been good the entire time he's been an offensive coordinator and an offensive leader in the NFL. So I believe they're going to right the ship, and it's going to start with a win against Baltimore.
Right on. That's a good place to wrap up. Jimmy, thank you for joining me.
No place I'd rather be, brother.
All right, and we will be back later this week with our preview of Browns-Ravens, and we will pick all the Week 14 games. I will have a list of things that we haven't necessarily seen a lot of from the Browns this season that I would like to see over the last 5 games, and particularly against Baltimore. So that'll be a little teaser for you later this week. Until then, for Jimmy Champ, I am Evan Belfiore, and we are No Broken Legs.
Every action has a repercussion. Miracle bullets don't make me get the bussin'. representing